The Emotionally Intelligent Manager: How to Develop and Use the 4 Key Emotional Skills of Leadership by David R. Caruso and Peter Salovey. The introduction section of the book does a great job of giving the reader a brief history of emotional intelligence, changes in emotional intelligence, and where we are now. For many years, we're taught that emotions are to be felt and expressed in a controlled way. We often believe that being over-emotional leads to our biggest mistakes. Clearly, it's an area of our lives that needed more research to better understand such an important aspect. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio conducted research to disprove our beliefs that emotion is a secondary thought. Damasio believes that emotion is an integral part of how we think and react. It's great that we're starting to realize that emotion is vital to how we function, think, and interact, but we need to do something with what we know now. In the introduction, the 4 skills of emotional intelligence are conceptually presented to the reader. The book is categorized into 4 themes correlating to the 4 skills as previously mentioned, which will be discussed in order. 1. Identify emotion. 2. Use emotion. 3. Understand emotion. 4. Manage emotion. Identify emotion. In the first few chapters of the book, the authors emphasize the importance of emotions in the workplace. Managers and employees alike should use emotions to assist in completing tasks by harnessing the energy and funneling it into positive outcomes. The importance of finding the balance of emotion at work are what Caruso and Salovey primarily instill in the opening pages. Caruso and Salovey describe their approach to emotional intelligence with 6 principles. The first principle is that emotion is information. Emotion is derived from an event or factor that has relevance to the person, and it helps motivate and guide them to success. As written by Caruso and Salovey, the emotionally intelligent managers must be able to differentiate between the experience of an emotion and the influence of being in a certain mood. Principle number 2 suggests that ignoring emotion does not work. Emotions and thinking are intertwined whether we are aware of it or not. A psychologist, Roy Baumeister, found that when emotions are suppressed, people remember less information. A manager should experience the emotion of a situation and use the power of that emotion to springboard to a productive outcome. Principle number 3 reminds people that concealing emotion is not well executed, so don't try to do it. Generally, people will read your expression regardless of the attempt to try and hide it. Principle number 4 says decisions should incorporate emotion. Caruso and Salovey wrote, "Management is not about avoiding conflict and making everyone happy all the time. Management is more about effectiveness, and effectiveness requires a range of emotions. Positive emotions help expand thinking, generate new ideas, and encourage the consideration of possibilities. Negative emotions provide clearer focus, allow details to be examined more efficiently, and motivate one to find a more efficient process for searching for errors." Principle 5 suggests emotions follow logical patterns. Emotion can serve as a crystal ball, and if interpreted correctly, can reduce surprises and prepare one for the future. Principle 6 discusses that there are universal rules and expressions of emotions such as a happy face, which equate to positive emotion. But understanding cultural and gender differences for how to display emotion and exhibit secondary emotion or self-conscious emotion are equally important. The Emotional Blueprint Model, which was introduced in 1997 by John D. Mayer and Peter Salovey, is a framework to help us identify emotions and manage them effectively. The model indicates there are 4 abilities that need to be recognized to develop emotional intelligence. The first step is to read people and identify emotions. This ability stresses the accuracy of emotional awareness. The second ability is how to use emotions in order to see the world in a different perspective and feel what others feel. The third ability is to understand emotion to determine what the emotions mean and what will happen next. Finally, managing emotions can be used to convey important information. When we talk about identifying emotions as a manager, we can look at the examples of Bill and Bob. Unfortunately, Bill just doesn't get it. He often misreads people's emotions and doesn't talk about, show, or express any of his feelings. He has a very neutral expression, and it is often hard to read him or tell what he is thinking. He not only can't identify how others feel, he really doesn't understand his own feelings well either. Bob, on the other hand, well, Bob gets it. Bob knows what people feel and can talk about and show others about feelings. Bob expresses his feelings when he is upset, but does likewise when he is happy. He smiles when he is happy, and it is easy to tell how he's feeling at any given time. He is really good at reading others' emotions and is good at recognizing and reorganizing his own feelings as well.
Use emotions. Use emotion to adjust your mood to match the requirements of a task or situation. You can learn to change your mood at will with a technique called method acting, developed by a director named Konstantin Stanislavski and used by actors like Dustin Hoffman and Al Pacino. Suppose you need to get into a happy mood. First, picture a happy memory like a dinner party you really enjoyed. Remember the people, the room, the furniture, the lighting, the food, the colors, the temperature, the conversations, and especially the laughter. Recall everything you can about the scene, what you heard, what you smelled, what you saw, what you touched, what you tasted. Try to relive that scene and remember just how good it felt. Turn that scene over in your mind till you begin to experience the physical sensations of those happy feelings. With practice, you will learn how to change the way you feel. This powerful skill enables you to match your mood to whatever task you need to do. So, you create a happy mood whenever you need to generate some great ideas, brainstorm, or obtain a group consensus, or jump into action and overcome an obstacle in your project. On the other hand, if you need to evaluate an idea, test it for flaws, you'll do better if you feel a little afraid. Meanwhile, a calm, neutral frame of mind will help you if you have to line up goals with objectives and checklists. Still, if it's time to follow up on someone's work, address some issues, or evaluate a problem, get into a negative mood, and that'll help you get to the bottom of those issues. If you want to motivate others and manage them better, then use emotion to develop that essential managerial skill of empathy. Empathy gives you the ability to feel what other people are feeling and see what they're seeing so that you can form a strong bond and build trust. If you know how to empathize, you can find out what motivates your colleagues and begin to really boost that camaraderie in your workplace. Don't be one of those emotionally inept managers who forget what's truly important whenever they get upset. These people are emotionally self-absorbed, so that other people's feelings don't really matter to them. While it's good to have solid beliefs and opinions, these unskilled managers will insist that they're right, even when their feelings tell them they're wrong. On the other hand, we love managers who are emotionally smart because they know how to steer feelings in a positive direction. They don't get frazzled by a strong emotion, but it actually sharpens their focus on what's important. They can feel what we feel. They are not above changing their minds if something just doesn't feel right. Use your emotion to help you select which tasks to do when you are in a particular mood. For example, if you find yourself in a happy mood, now is the time to brainstorm, think about the big picture, generate ideas, explore your world, explore your past too, because you'll remember some happy events that you forgot. A happy mood will help you make some important decisions, even long-term ones. In fact, if you've been tackling a problem that requires you to take little bits of information and put the pieces together like a puzzle, a happy mood will help you solve it, saying, "Eureka, I've got it." This is known as inductive problem solving, which is enhanced by a happy mood. On the other hand, if you're feeling a little sad, you might actually be at your best to solve a deductive rather than inductive problem. A deductive problem requires you to apply one concept to a variety of situations, like having to implement a new policy to other parts of a business. You have to break it down and adapt it, and that's how you use deductive reasoning. And you will do it better if you're feeling a little sad. Sadness will also help you do detailed work and find errors, for example, in proofreading a major paper. No one likes an angry person, but if you have something that needs to be protected or you need to uncover things that might threaten your business or project, if you need someone with a lot of energy and focus for this, give the job to someone angry. Fear can be crippling, but it's not all bad. A little fear helps us become more aware of risks, like risks to a project or in a business proposal. What we don't know can hurt us or hurt others. So a little fear can help us challenge our assumptions, scan for threats, and spot errors. It shakes off our false sense of security. We even remember errors and other unnerving events when we feel afraid. So if you need to teach someone a safety precaution, do it when they've just had a scare.
Understand emotion. In order to improve our ability to identify emotions, we first need to understand our own emotions. Recommended emotional awareness practices include keeping a mood journal, reviewing data to determine mood cycles, practicing and reviewing facial expressions. For example, saying the word happy while practicing the matching facial expression. Playing games like emotional charades, and paying close attention to those around you. By paying close attention to others and applying lessons from our personal emotional awareness, we can heighten our awareness of the emotional state of others. There are 3 main clues to identifying the emotions of others. 1. Watching facial expressions. 2. Listening for the pitch, rhythm, and tone of voice. And 3. Observing posture and nonverbal signals. Recommended exercises to increase your ability to read others correctly include 1. People watching, and 2. Watching movie dialogue with the sound turned off. Take notes on what you think has occurred based on the 3 main clues portrayed by the actors. Then watch the scene again, this time with the sound on, and compare your notes to see how well you've done. Emotional exchanges can be compared to moves in a game of chess. Emotions have rules and follow certain patterns and progressions. Predicting emotional outcomes is a key managerial skill and one that can be strengthened by incorporating an emotional what-if analysis into major decisions. While contemplating how others might respond, managers should consider typical emotional progressions. Listed here are typical positive and negative emotional progressions. However, each situation is unique and emotional progressions can vary greatly. Insight into the roots, causes, and rules of emotions help emotionally intelligent managers predict how others will react, allowing stronger planning for the future. Predicting the emotional future and understanding our own emotions as well as others' emotions is not easy. We can look at the examples of Suzanne and Lynn to illustrate this point. Suzanne is a poor manager of conflict. She often misunderstands people and is often surprised when they tell her how they feel. She has difficulty explaining her feelings and putting them into words for others. Her emotional experiences are either black or white, with no real gray area in between. She has a very limited, basic understanding of emotions and struggles with this arena. Lynn is an excellent team motivator. He is able to read emotions very well and make the correct assumptions about other people. He always seems to know just the right thing to say. He is able to look ahead at different scenarios and make predictions about what people may feel should any given event happen. He has a very strong emotional vocabulary and can pinpoint emotions in himself and others. Lynn also understands that a person can experience conflicting emotions at the same time. This is a very high level of emotional knowledge that makes Lynn an excellent motivator and leader.
Managing emotions. Managing emotions is how we can actively intertwine our feelings with thought and is an important aspect of emotional intelligence. By managing emotions, one is able to integrate emotions into decisions and actions to enhance the quality of decisions. The way in which emotions are managed plays a key role in the success of reaching our goals and objectives because of the knowledge and motivation gained from experiencing the feelings. For example, effective emotional management would allow us to use an emotion like anger to channel our actions into motivation for change, rather than displaying anger by actions such as yelling and shouting. This is illustrated in the following quote from Caruso and Solovey: "Act out of anger, but do not act angry." Managing emotions can be enhanced by exerting good emotional self-control, quick thinking, and exploring emotions to understand their meaning. The key steps to managing emotions to positively influence a challenging situation include the following. It can be exhausting to suppress feelings. One should welcome a feeling, even if it's unexpected or uncomfortable, as suppressing emotions takes away from the mental energy needed to solve problems, make decisions, and be emotionally aware. Rather than having emotions drive spirited responses like yelling and screaming, the emotion should be intelligently incorporated into thought, therefore using the emotion rather than the opposite. Emotions teach us a lesson by motivating and inspiring ourselves and those we interact with. Emotions can be drawn upon to find insight into a solution and contribute energy to work on the solution. Emotional awareness is the building block to emotional intelligence, but in order to be emotionally intelligent, we must be able to process and understand emotions. Asking the questions outlined on this slide to help process emotions allows us to develop a method to link the emotion to the reality of the situation. In order to complete feeling integration, we need to balance emotions by not suppressing or exaggerating them, but rather basing choices on our emotion. The key to emotional integration is to experience the right emotion with the right person at the right time. There are a few different ways to improve how we manage emotions if we already have some skill at this. First, we need to stay open to emotions. By systematically desensitizing oneself to emotions, we can be prepared to handle unexpected and uncomfortable emotions better. This can be done by creating a hierarchy of the least tough all the way to the toughest emotions, and then working yourself through each one until you can face tougher emotions and remain calm. Filtering positive and negative emotions is important, but before that can be done, you have to be able to manage your mood in comparison to your emotions, which are two different things. Moods tend to be ongoing, while emotions are short-lived. Moods can sometimes cause emotions to occur, and we need to remember not to act on moods and emotions caused by moods. Something we can do is disengage from emotions if need be by avoiding them or denying the emotion. Measuring emotional skills can be completed much like measuring intelligence. These scores serve as a guide for someone to help focus where they need to further develop their emotional intelligence skills. Several aspects of emotional intelligence are measured through validated tests, such as the SPCM. Examples of the objectives measured through emotional intelligence testing include the ability to read people. This shows how accurately you can determine how another person feels. Get in the right mood. To determine how feelings make a difference in the way one thinks, plans, and makes decisions. Do it with feeling. This measures how emotions can be effectively managed to influence decisions. The SPCM is a 141-item exam designed to determine objectively how emotionally intelligent the test taker is. The scores are compared against a normative database to provide valid and reliable results. The scores should be used to identify where skill building is required to further emotional intelligence abilities. A few case studies can be used to illustrate how to apply and manage your emotions. The first is William Ford III. He had the opportunity to become the CEO of Ford Motors. However, throughout his life, he had developed a strong pro-environmental stance, so heading a company that potentially hurt the environment was a challenge for him. Instead of shying away from the position, he embraced the company and decided to improve it by utilizing his emotions and letting them be a driving, motivating force. Then there's Marcy. She was switching careers and became a certified public accountant. She found a job in a manufacturing firm in the financial unit. One day she was running an audit when she found a $12.5 million mistake and quickly reported it to those in charge. She was told to sweep it under the rug, but she refused. For that, she got fired. She learned the lesson that you won't always be rewarded for being emotionally intelligent, and you need to be able to understand and accept that. Managers can apply the blueprint model introduced earlier in this presentation to handle interpersonal interactions faced by every leader. Accordingly, the blueprint model helps managers to understand the broader perspective of rightly handling the emotions of others. Caruso and Solovey described various case studies throughout the book to show that the blueprint model can be applied in the following ways. In managing people, to rightly confront others and generate negative feelings that ultimately creates the desired changes. Supervising people, to stay open to data of emotions and incorporate such data into the decision-making process. Managing client relationships, to be clear about the information contained in people's emotions. Political management, to probe the emotional intelligence of others and manage their expectations while defending your own interests. Meet business objectives, appreciate and understand one's feelings and guts to meet goals. Risk-taking, identify the fear-motivated decision-making mode, its causes, and effectively incorporate the knowledge therein. In a similar manner, managers can combine emotional intelligence and cognitive skills for effective leadership. The application of these two vital combinations creates a balance paradigm essential for leaders to harness the emotionality of others and apply it for the good of the team. The following are various applications of emotional intelligence and cognitive skills. Emotionally intelligent leaders create an effective team because they see the big picture. They stay open to various emotional information, which helps generate possible alternatives in decision-making. They understand complex feelings, and showing appreciation for others' accomplishments, an integral factor in motivating. Leaders can effectively motivate and inspire a vision when they understand how people feel and can empathize with them. Managers can create change when they've been able to identify, use, and manage the emotional data of their team. And finally, emotionally intelligent leaders create a better and positive interpersonal connection for improved relationships.
Have you ever finished a book and felt like, wow, I learned so much. Time to move on, I guess. In a way, this book is like no other book I've read. Rather than leaving you with provoking information, but no way to apply your new knowledge to real life, the book goes a step or two beyond most books. At the end of the reading, the book provides the reader with a non-scientific test to better understand their emotional skills. There are no right or wrong answers, but readers can gain insights about their emotional intelligence. Then, the text helps the reader formulate a plan on how to best capitalize on their emotional intelligence. So to use the 4 themes of this book, you may find the questions shown on this slide helpful. How do you feel? How are these feelings influencing your thoughts? Why do you feel this way? And do you need to modify these emotions? So last and finally, we will end with the good manager. We all want to be good managers, even if manager is not in our job title. So to close our presentation, we have used what Crusoe and Solovey consider to be a good manager. While it's easy to do things right as far as procedure, you also need to do what is considered ethically right. Then you have empathy. Empathy isn't always something included in emotional intelligence, but it should be. And achieving emotional intelligence can be more feasible to achieve if you have a desire to do well for oneself and for others. And lastly, the last quote that can summarize why we should utilize emotions beyond just improving our managing abilities is because it's right. Crusoe and Solovey said, "We've never come right out and said it, so let's say it now. The skills of emotional intelligence do not guarantee health, wealth, or happiness.